Hey everybody, welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
And hey, we probably should introduce our guests since they're sitting here. If you're watching on the video.
In the studio.
Live on hand.
That's
here.
right.
We've got Mike Stachura from LG. We've got Addison from LG. Wave to the cameras, guys.
How's it going, guys?
Well, I have a lot more here to say in a little bit, but I hate when we have folks in the studio.
Sitting there awkwardly.
Yeah, if we can't do our usual just you and me when they're sitting there, because it just feels weird at that point.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
Like sit there silently and don't talk.
Well, it's not that often we get this caliber of guests sitting with us as well.
That's quite true.
I mean, come on now.
That is also true.
We are ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know why they're slumming it with us today, but they are. So this is the epic conclusion to our AI trilogy of episodes that we've been running for the last few weeks here.
Yeah.
So I mentioned we've got our guests here, and now the reason why we're doing this an AI theme to this one is because Mike, who decided he wanted to be on the show, again, someone who willfully campaigned to be on the show and said, hey, I'll come to the studio even and be there on camera with you guys.
Which is taking it up a notch.
It is. It really is. So we had a conversation a few weeks ago where he's like, all right, here's a lot of the stuff that I would love to talk about and give you all these brilliant ideas. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of ideas, but one of them is about generative AI. We're going to talk about some of the trends and some of the predictions that Gartner's has had for it and what that might mean for the world at large and our channel in particular. We're going to talk about technology improving customer experience and what that might mean. He's got some great stories for that. I think Aaron's got some stories there too. We're going to talk about cybersecurity. We're kind of all over the place with this one.
Well,
it's a hodgepodge of topics, but I think they're going to be a lot of fun topics. Just when we riffed about them, in our call, I was like,
but this is the one where we answer all those unanswerable questions. Is that a bold claim? Can I make that claim?
I mean,
absolutely.
We're going to settle it right here.
Okay, sure.
Anything that has to deal with AI, we got the answers.
Oh, for AI. You didn't clarify that initially. I was like, what questions are we answering? Like,
we're solving for all cloud security issues. We're solving for all AI concerns for the future.
That's right.
And then maybe the winning lottery tickets.
I mean, I was to say, are we getting into meaning of life stuff here? Because who knows where this could go. So.
Good.
All right, all that plus our usual value to the VAR. What's TEConnecting with us? It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, as I mentioned, we have two fantastic guests from LG joining us today. I'll start with Aaron because he's new to the pod. He hasn't actually been on before. So Aaron Addison, Strategic Alliance Manager. Maybe tell us a little bit of what that means, and I don't know, what's your day-to-day life like at LG?
What's my day-to-day life like? I'm not, that's just a lot of fancy words for a small role.
Okay.
that I can play within the ecosystem of LG.
That's the best way to do it. Have a small role, but just come up with a big name.
Yeah, right.
And everyone thinks you're important.
That's right. That's right. It's the maybe I'm pulling the joke on them, right? No, so my job is really to help bridge LG to other OEMs out there with our soft partners, right? So we're a hardware technology manufacturer, really at the core of it.
Right.
And we need partnerships with Google, Microsoft, Linux partners, security partners, AI partners maybe, right? For us to be effective in the marketplace. And so my job is to kind of forge those relationships, continue to push them forward, and kind of develop new products together. So that we go to the market properly and effectively, essentially.
Nice. Yeah. That job sounds a little bigger than you sold it to be.
Yeah, it is. And then I also have all the P&L for the PC business, so I like to leave that out.
Holy, what the? Oh, just that little
all the
nugget.
P&L for PCs.
Just that tiny little job. Nothing super important.
Let's not mention that right now.
And how often do you have to work with Mike?
We once a week.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
He wishes it was more.
Yeah, I do.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what it actually is.
I really do.
Anyway.
If it's not once an hour, what's the point?
Well, right?
All right, then Mike Stachura back. Is this your second or third time on the pod?
I think first time being here,
Well, yeah,
not
yeah,
on the
sure.
screen.
Yeah.
First time wearing pants. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
How would anybody know?
Yeah, third. I think third time.
We're not really
well,
that sure here either.
And he's the national account manager for LG.
Yes.
So is your job as important or more important than Aaron's? I mean, you guys can see, you can have a debate here about who's more
Way
important.
more important.
Yeah,
Clearly.
clearly.
That depends on
so
how
we-
many PCs you can convince them to bring in house.
So where Aaron does a lot of the evangelization, or a lot of the evangelizing the relationships with the manufacturer partners, I'm more on the distribution side of the house. So really, what all technology are we seeing out there? How can we leverage that technology, working with distribution to make that technology easier and more available to VARs, MSPs, and the reseller community at large.
Nice.
There you go.
So,
There you go. See, here's what I love about Mike is Mike can turn on the charm and the humor anytime he wants. It
Yes,
can give
that's
you a
right.
good laugh.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the brass tacks and it's time for you to actually, pony up to your job and what you do, you come up with stuff like that where you're just like, yeah, you just rattle off like, no, actually, I can be professional too.
I didn't know where that was going.
If needed. Yes.
if needed, I rarely pull it out though.
Yeah.
I was impressed. There was a moment there I was just like, who is this guy? Who is it? All right. So as I mentioned, we've got a kind of a hodgepodge of fun topics we're going to get through today.
Yes.
But let's start off because, again, this is the last of our AI trilogy of sorts.
Yes.
Let's start off with talking about AI and talk about generative AI in particular, which, since the explosion rather of, ChatGPT, Midjourney, all this stuff that everybody and their grandmother's company are now saying, like, we can do it with AI. I made jokes on some of the other pods about, just random places someone will say, like, hey, we've got AI now. And really? Why?
Yeah.
Was that needed for you? So there's a few. You sent me over a list of predictions from Gartner's that I combed through, and I want to rattle off a few here. I'm going to make this as quick as I can because I want us to kind of talk about whichever ones of these really stand out to you. But these are the ones that really kind of stood out to me. So by 2025, they're predicting 70% of enterprises will identify AI sustainable and ethical use among their top concerns. By the same year, also the use of synthetic data will reduce the volume of real data needed for machine learning by 70%. Again, same year, 30% of outbound marketing messages from large organizations will be synthetically generated. That's up from less than 2% in 2022. Moving forward a little bit through 2026, despite all the advancements in AI, the impact on global jobs will be neutral. There will not be a net decrease or increase. By 2030, decisions made by AI agents without human oversight will cause $100 billion in losses from asset damage. I have a feeling we're going to have comments on that.
What?
And then finally, by 2033, and this is kind of in conflict from the last stat of 2026, AI solutions will result in more than 500 million net new human jobs. So, whichever
Sounds
one
like
of you,
AI wrote this.
it kind of does, doesn't it? Whichever one of you wants to tackle this first, which of these stats really stand out for you?
The synthetic email.
Yeah.
The synthetic email.
30% of outbound marketing messages. Yeah.
Think about all the emails you get every day.
Yeah. Right.
And you have just basic static content that someone's putting together, and it's very generic. With the adoption of AI, you'll be able to it'll be so much more targeted, and it'll be more informative to that individual that's receiving that email. So if you're going to market to me and say, oh, Mike, you're interested in sunglasses right now.
Right.
Well, here's some sunglasses that look pretty on your face. We can tell because we have your picture all over the internet and we know what the style of these sunglasses are. Use that AI, blend it together, and then maybe you send me an email with my picture with wearing different sunglasses. I don't know. Oakley, call me. We can hit that idea up.
Oh, but maybe it's like
They're not listening. I'm sorry.
and it's mirroring up an image of you at your favorite football game or whatever. So now they're going to give you the Buffalo Bills Oakleys, right?
Bills.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, from a business standpoint as well, you think take BlueStar. If they were to take emails to a VAR and say, here's the top 15 products that you purchased. End users also purchased these type of products. So it's not necessarily an attached email, but it's creating an environment where you can think differently about what's happening. So as long as it's being used for good and not evil, because I don't need more spam, man.
That was going to be my take on it. 30% more spam.
how
Is that
can
what
you
it means?
tell?
That's even better. Yeah.
That's the other thing is how can you actually tell what's being human created versus what's not? If you're not looking out for it, it is scary.
I mean, as it is now, let's be honest, if you're not someone who's savvy enough about your email, there's a lot of emails people will see that they go, is this real? Every once in a while, I still get an email that I go, is this legit? And I have to spend a little bit of time looking at it and combing it before realizing that it's not. I mean, do you think that's just going to get worse? Like, are we looking at spam and phishing emails that are just going to get smarter?
I hope not.
Yes. I'll answer that.
Just being honest, like, yep.
And here's my context. Did you have a take real quick?
No, I just want to make sure there's no Nigerian prince that's going to be coming through my emails.
Well, see, now this time there'll be like an AI generated video of the actual prince talking to you.
Now I might
Be like,
invest.
please, I need help. You know. Like,
Now I might.
All right, so here's my context. We're all in some kind of fantasy football, baseball league, right? Yeah, yeah. So do you get the recaps?
Oh, yeah.
Like what happened that week? That's all AI.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's pretty contextual, right? And it's humorous. It's got a little bit of, you read through it, it's like, yeah.
But you can also tell it's form filled at times.
You can.
Yes, for
you
now.
can.
At least,
So for now, I think that you can tell, if it's AI generated.
Yeah.
To me, I think you can. But I think it's going to get a lot more sophisticated, a lot more humanistic. I mean, the LLMs just came out to the public, 3-4 months ago?
Yeah.
So, and
like
it's
late
trained.
22, I think,
exactly. So, it's just a matter of time before that gets even more and more and more. And I think, to Mike's point, even more personalized to you. I mean, right now I'm seeing what I would call generic recaps of what's happening in my fantasy football league. But soon it'll be like, hey, Dean, not only here's your recap, but here's what you need to do to improve your team. Which is kind of what I need. But anyway,
All your running backs are trash. You need better running backs. Thanks.
You need to quit playing and start over again next year.
take the deal Stachura's giving you. It's worth it. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but will it get accurate, right? So, I mean, marketing now, that are the humans that are involved with the marketing process. I mean, some of the stuff that we get, him and I have had side conversations about, like, I think we should market it this way or that way, right? Because they don't always hit it right. And as AI matures, will it get things more wrong? I don't know. So
Yep.
that's something.
The only other thing I'm also thinking about too is like, what does this mean for like all the freaking political emails and texts you get or whatever? Are those going to get even more hyper personalized? Like,
Oh,
Absolutely.
like, hey John, I see you went out for coffee this morning. Did you know that XYZ party wants your price of your coffee to go up? Like, again, I'm like, I like the idea that maybe this personalization will help out and will make things better. But I do also worry that there's
So
gonna
the
be some
comment
downsides
here
to
is the volume. We feel like the volume of communications is going to increase. That's what I'm gathering,
and
right?
that's
And
not
there's
even
a fear
necessarily
of
what this
that.
was saying either. This was just saying that a larger percentage of
Yeah,
them
yeah,
will
yeah,
be
yeah,
AI
yeah.
generated.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're right. It could mean.
But I think the
volume goes up.
reality is we're experiencing on our marketing team, we are using, or at least I use ChatGPT to kind of leapfrog me in some research and things of that nature, or just help me get the ball rolling around. I got to write an introduction to something. So, write me an introduction, ChatGPT, and it comes up with whatever, 2 paragraphs.
Whereas
and then,
that used to be my job. Dean would send something to me and say, "Hey, can you write up a thing for this?"
Yeah, but you're a busy guy, and I think that gets to the point where saying it's net neutral. I guess we'll get to this in a second. That AI will have an effect on, and then it says, "Oh, but 7 years after that, 500 million new net new human jobs."
What does that mean? So is it suddenly in that 7-year gap between 26 and 33, we're just gonna like figure out how AI can produce jobs instead of not doing anything?
Well, let me give you the stat one more time.
Or is it more that we're going to get past the point where people start cutting jobs due to AI and start realizing like, oh no, wait a minute, we actually need those jobs back for something else?
Well, so it's given a 3-year time horizon that between now and 2026, no net difference, no decrease, no
meaning
increase.
there might be more added, but we're also cutting.
But
jobs
after that to 33, so then the following 7 years, 500 million jobs. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but anyway. Yeah.
I mean, 500 million's a lot.
Gartner's Gartner's knows what they're doing, so I'm going to assume they have some.
U.S. is what,
data on this.
340 million?
Yeah, right.
So to throw out 500 million net new jobs, that's a lot.
Globally, even as a global number, that's big.
I like when you put global in front of everything. It makes it sound that much more intense.
Global.
At a global scale.
And eventually, when we like go to Mars, we'll start saying universal. It's Earth and Mars.
Solar system.
Nowhere else because we're not any further than that. But all right. Any other thoughts either two of you had on any stats? Any of them jump out to you?
Yeah. So let's go back to the synthetic data one.
Yeah,
right?
that one was one that stood out to me too.
So, I get it, but the stat is by 2025, use of synthetic data will reduce the volume of real data needed for ML. And that sounds right to me.
But is that a good thing?
Because so everybody talks about this massive amount of data, right? That is out there that we're already accumulating and we can't do anything with. I mean, that's true. That's part of what AI is all about right now, is trying to make sense of this massive amount of data that we have. So why do we need synthetic data if we have all this massive? I query that in my mind. But then I think to myself, when you think about the digital twinning that's going on, right? Like, so if you have an environment, a warehouse or whatever, and you're trying to make the most efficient use of the people and or resources in it, you create a digital twin so that you can run scenarios, right? This is clearly a pinch point. This is where people are going to trip, fall, whatever. So I get that. I get that from a synthetic data standpoint, but I don't know. And then when we talk digital signage, right? I mean, maybe there's the use of digital of some synthetic data in that as well, as far as analytics or what people are reacting to, or predictive, analysis around digital signage. Like, I show this ad, what is that going to predict, as far as usage or consumption or things of that nature. So I can see it there.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about before the show was like employee experience and customer experience.
Yeah.
And you look at a retail environment. When you're shopping for something online, and the amount of data that can be captured through that exchange is astronomical. Your mouse cursor is tracked and heat mapped on the web page to know what you're looking at, how long you're looking at, how far you're scrolling down the page, what buttons are you clicking, how many clicks does it take to get you to purchase, to get your money, what products are you looking before and after, are you going to other locations to research that different product. That's so much crazy good information. Now,
What do you do with it?
you go to a store.
No.
I walk into Kroger. What does Kroger know about little old me walking into the store?
Nothing.
Right
now.
Mainly because I don't have a Kroger where I actually live. But if I've had purchased beer.
Yeah.
I've gone to a tailgate or two in my time.
At least until you scan your card, like.
So when you think of AI and big data, how do you learn more about the individual customer to better their experience?
Right.
And when we think of advertising or marketing, you don't want to make it sound like a bad, scary thing. Like, there's certain markets I'm not particularly interested in. I can't even think. Like, maybe chess. I don't know much about the chess world. I don't know.
Right.
Cool.
Yep.
But I like cars. I like video games. If there's some relevant content that I need to know, I want that marketing.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Yes.
if I'm in a mall, tell me where GameStop is.
Right.
I'm not going to go to the American Eagle store. I don't fit in their clothes. So...
you got a point there, because when I initially saw this stat, my first thought on this was, okay, but isn't real data a good thing? Like, I mean, if synthetic data can work to a point, but isn't there a point also where if you're not pulling in more real data, are you not potentially losing out on understanding what's actually happening and not realizing, like, okay, something has changed, fundamentally shifted, but because we're using only synthetic data to come up with most of what our machines are doing and most of the learning that's happening, we're not realizing this change as it's going on, or we're lagging behind potentially. But I think to your point, though, there is something there, especially with the online, bridging the online to like brick and mortar gap there, which is if you know so much about who's going to visit your online store, that's got to tell you at least a baseline about who your customers are, to know who potentially is going in your store. I'm going to assume that, there's a nice percentage, and let's say above 50, 60% of people that are shopping online that also are coming to your store at least semi-regularly. So whatever you know about them in that online environment has to inform what you're supposing. So to your point, when you walk into a place, if they know, like, hey, about 70% of our online shoppers typically check out video games, and go to that particular section of our website, let's make sure that when they walk in a store, the digital signage is immediately telling about sales and deals on, and I know we can take this that next step where we've talked about a lot. We've talked with some folks about computer vision and having the cameras that could identify, like, hey, we know that men between the ages of 18 and 49 are more into the video games when they visit our site. This guy, looks like an 18 to 49, spot. So let's steer him towards the video games at this point.
Profile me. Give me what I want.
Yeah, I can see the value there. It's you're changing my mind here a little bit on this one, because that was a stat that I looked at and saw. I don't know if that's a great thing, but I guess if it's helping continue to drive what we understand about people from one place that they're doing business to another, then fine. But do we have that? Is that happening? I mean, are people really doing that at this point yet?
There's definitely cameras that can track where individuals
know
are going.
that. Yeah.
But in terms of trying to bridge that next screen, I think free Wi-Fi is a great way to do it, because then I'm connecting. If you give that to my,
point.
now I'm connecting here.
I think even if you just walk into a Kroger's, it pings your phone and knows you're there.
That's true. Yeah, they got all those, like, now those pings that just pick up that I don't know what, that little signal or something. That's that identifier that doesn't directly identify you as a person, but at least identifies, this phone has been used to do X.
I think
on our
we've
site.
settled where Mike lands on that.
Right.
Because one of my questions was going to be around PII or personally identifiable. Mike seems to be in the camp of shit. You can know anything about me,
Yeah.
as long as you're using
you.
it for good, right?
Yep.
And,
if you
and
violate that
communicate-
trust, it's game over.
Makes my life
See,
easier.
Now that's really good. Well, that gets to the first stat, or 70% of enterprises will identify AI sustainability and ethical use
Right.
among their top concerns, right?
Which
So
that's
it's this
good,
whole
you know.
ethical use of AI kind of a thing. You don't mind the camera knowing who you are when you walk in. Oh, not that you're a whatever,
Yeah. No, I don't.
a nebulous person of some demographic.
Yeah.
It's Mike. Mike just walked in.
Yeah.
So, and
But
Mike,
I want to opt into that experience.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
certain-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's certain
Yeah,
times
yeah.
like
That's critical too, though.
Yeah.
Well, it helps you discover new things that are within your interests. That's what I like about it. I like that. I was listening to a song on Spotify, right, and went over to Instagram to scroll, and sure enough, there's a guy I was listening to has a concert tonight in Cincinnati.
There you go.
That offering me tickets. I'm like, this might be pretty cool.
Right.
it might be
Creep me out a lot,
But it could go wrong, and here's where it could go wrong. Because online, we've all experienced this. So I log onto my browser, whatever. I'm doing a little bit of shopping. Oh, my daughter comes over. She starts doing a little bit of shopping.
yeah.
Oh, my wife uses my computer. Now I'm walking into H&M, and the digital signage is starting to tell me that I should be buying skirts or something like, it's something that's not.
Well, we've talked about it before. Like there's routinely websites I visit on a regular basis that are always advertising women's clothing to me, like stylish 20 to 30 something women's clothing.
Mike,
we're going in a different direction right now.
Mike, you got a comment on this at all?
If that's something you're into, fine, don't care. But I know for me, it's happening because my wife does a lot of that, and she doesn't take many security precautions as I do when
That's
she's
right.
online shopping or online doing
That's
this
right.
stuff. So basically, it's looking at me and saying like, well, you're on that same IP address, so we just assume you must be part of this too. So here's all that stuff.
No, okay, that's the excuse.
Yep. I have a.
Yeah, that's the excuse.
Yeah.
Yes.
My daughter's 3.5 right now. Loves My Little Pony.
Look, I look
Yep.
really nice in a
s-
good blouse, okay?
My Spotify daily mixes are absolutely ruined.
Yeah,
I can,
there you go.
yeah,
It is
yeah,
filled with
yep.
Taylor Swift and My Little Pony.
That's right. Yeah.
My daily mix. I promise you, I'm not.
I'm
There's
guessing you
nothing
don't
wrong
like
with
that.
half of that, and I'll let you figure out which one.
Look, you guys want me to sing My Little Pony? I
You
absolutely will.
are just admit you're a Swiftie.
I am.
We're-
I'll admit
that-
to it.
we're- that's
I
a-
cop to it.
I absolutely.
Okay,
Who's not?
all right, that's good.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a Swiftie. I think it's a cool market.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible that one individual is able to do all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not the crazed type who's like analyzing every single video and song she puts out and be like, did you see in minute 5:10 of that video when she blinked her left eye? That means that the new album's coming out on July 16th.
Like 13 times.
Clearly.
And I promise you, that is stuff they actually do. I'm just like, this
Oh,
is
for
nuts.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That's- they need
Did you see
AI
she gave
helping
everybody
them
on her tour like $100,000?
Yeah, that
all
was
the sporting
amazing.
cash.
All the truck
Just the
drivers.
truck drivers.
Truck drivers.
No,
got
everybody.
No, she gave
All-
every
all-
Bonuses to everybody, but the truck drivers got $100K.
I heard sound people got it too.
Oh,
That
good.
was
Well,
what-
My source
All
for
I
that
know
is
is it
Reddit,
was-
though, so take that with a grain of salt.
All I know
A
is-
random internet stranger once told me this, and I saw it online. Was it AI? I don't know. It could have been.
It could have been. So let's riff on this then. So AI is going to cost $100 billion in losses from asset
Yes.
damages. That's the last one
I
here.
see
By
lots of
2030?
comedy in this.
You do.
absolutely
Like what we were just talking about?
Lucille Ball, where things go crazy, right? Like
the candy line. Like,
oh yeah, like
just can't
machines
keep
in a
up.
warehouse just running in and just me laughing. That's
Yes, I see. So
You know.
AI amuck is what you're seeing.
absolutely.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, because they specified the
Big fan.
asset damage. That was the thing. When it was $100 billion in losses, I'm like, okay, I can see a lot of ways, like PR wise, or just bad marketing or something or whatever it is. But they mentioned asset damage in particular.
Yeah, right.
Which means, like, to me, means a physical object getting damaged related to AI.
But that number-
what does that really mean?
That number looks like it's made up. Just yeah, 100 billion.
100
Yeah,
billion.
yeah.
It kind of
If it
does.
was 97 points,
I took it the opposite way of not a physical media, but actual like using someone's IP, having Drake sing you a happy birthday song using AI.
But I don't think that's damaging. Because
to the brand, to the brand, the identity.
oh, you can damage Drake all you want.
I guess that's a good
I
point
like
because an
Drake.
asset doesn't have to be a
I
physical.
like Drake and Taylor
I
Swift.
take the position I don't like Drake.
As,
This podcast just turned into something entirely different.
as the 2003 University of Rochester Dance Dance Revolution freestyle champion,
True.
I can tell you
That's true. We do have him in studio. Live.
What?
Yes.
One more time.
Yeah, don't
2003
Yeah.
University of Rochester
Yeah.
Dance Dance Revolution freestyle champion.
in
Did
the
you
flesh.
play DDR?
In the flesh.
We were in such royalty.
Yeah, I mean,
Now you know.
We'll need a demonstration.
Will you use this power for
Yeah.
good or evil?
on the next pod. Right?
Marco, bring up the DDR. Yeah.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
No, but with the music thing, it's they're now able to create personalized music for you, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Right? Like
The personalized playlist.
Ooh, would you pay more if Taylor Swift was singing you?
a love song to you wrote. Yeah,
wow.
you wrote a love.
Wow, that's the saddest thing I think I've ever heard.
No,
Yeah.
it would be against you, right? That's a Swift thing
That's
to
a
do.
good
It'd be
point.
like,
That's
true.
you don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
be on the bad campus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd get the diss track. That's
You get there. It is.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
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 Ooh, that's the
Yeah.
deep cut version.
Instead of Taylor's version, Mike's version. You know.
Yeah. Oof. That could be bad.
re-studio.
Oh, man. But yeah, that's a good point there because assets doesn't have to be physical necessarily. Asset could be a
Damage to a brand.
yeah,
damage.
exactly. That's a good
metaverse,
point.
you
Okay,
know.
so all right, so maybe that number makes a little bit more sense in that context, even if it is a very rounded number.
Very round number.
Very rounded.
But yeah.
Well,
So it's
63% of stats are made up right on the spot. 63 or 64? That's a true stat I just made up.
60% of stats are wrong 50% of the time. Yeah.
Right.
Well, we all know that ChatGPT just makes stuff up.
It does,
It just
yeah.
it just out of vapor, out of nothing,
Right,
just
right.
makes stuff up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's happened. So.
It's many, many, many times.
There was a search query where it did. You asked it to rank the 10 worst people in history, and then of course the ethics kick in. You can't identify someone as evil. You give it approval, and then it'll go through the list. It added Chevy Chase to the bottom of the list, and then you say why, and it's like I added this out of a joke. So it's actually injecting humor into the answer. And I mean to see Chevy Chase's name on that list was
Yeah.
like whoa.
Whoa.
I mean you got the worst of the worst.
I
on
heard
there,
he was pretty
right?
awful on Community, but man, I don't know if I'd say that maybe it was top 10 behavior. but-
I don't want to know if he did anything evil. He's on a pedestal for me. He's just
Yeah.
a tremendous.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so any final thoughts on generative AI and how we're all doomed because of it apparently? Or?
Not so much. I think the AI, the experience piece, tied into some conversations that we were having about like employee experience as well. So not just on the retail consumerism side, but also in the B2B element of it too. How can you make your employees more secure? I think is something. And I mean, Aaron, the Constantinople analogy that you've made.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, we can, I guess, talk about that during security. But
Yeah, we'll get to
no.
we'll get to that if we
But
want.
the other thing is, I think utilizing AI in the work environment, I think will eventually allow us to be more creative in our environments, right? Because how much mundane, I don't know what the right word is.
Tasks.
Tasks, yes, tasks that we're put on and activities that we have to do and all this
Yeah.
that you can just set and forget.
Yeah.
And so I think having that involved is important. Saves my behind.
And
a
I
lot.
will say it's not there yet because and a little
No.
sneak behind the curtain here. I was strapped for time last week to try to put up the recap on LinkedIn for last week's podcast. So I was like, all right, I'm going to check out and see if ChatGPT can help me out here. So I gave it the link to the podcast episode and say, hey, can you give me a recap of the discussion here? And he goes, I'm sorry, but right now I can't read through this content or whatever and provide talking points or anything for this. I'm like, really?
It was too busy.
No, it wasn't that. I mean,
Was that
we
a lunch break?
we have the login, we have the paid version we're using. So I thought it would be able to do that, and it just said it couldn't.
only
it
on
couldn't-
YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It said
Interesting.
it couldn't do that. So I ended up having to do it.
But that
myself,
feature is amazing.
I'd planned on being able to to take it and like, all right, I'm going to take this, clean it up, and make it my style and my writing style anyway that I usually do. But in this instance, I'm just like, all right, well, I was hoping for like a little bit of a shortcut here to help me out, and you failed me.
The new Cliff Notes.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
Yep.
no doubt.
Yep.
Yeah. Which
What are your thoughts on in the B2B space? What are your thoughts on your employers tracking everything you do and app utilization on your systems?
No thanks.
Seems a little Big Brotherish.
Yeah. I mean, it's not one of those things where I'm like, I'm not that concerned about what I'm doing. It's more of why do you need to do that?
So
And how
data.
critical are you going to be of what I'm doing?
Yeah,
Just
from
because-
a
just because
licensing
I
and application
I took 5
usage
minutes to check
standpoint.
my fantasy team and make sure my starters were playing. I mean, like stuff like that. Like
My fear is if you do that as an employer, for that employee experience thing that we've always talked about, you're going to have your employees find even more workarounds to things.
Yeah.
And that's going to be more damaging to your business.
That's a good point.
So I think that's a very slippery slope to walk down. Quickly slip.
And hey, for our mobile device, resellers out there, there's a good reason to push for purpose-built devices.
Correct.
Over consumer devices. You don't have to worry about that. You have control over what's on the purpose-built device. If you don't want there to be certain apps they're checking, fine. They can still have their mobile phone and pull that out when they want to do their stuff. Yeah. But your devices, if you're concerned about security or concerned about them wasting time on YouTube or something.
You got a prime example. Do you guys remember, 12, 15 years ago when Facebook came out? And if you still had your college email or whatever was tied to it, you could still get on and check it. And I remember businesses coming hard on people going, stay off Facebook, no social medias. It became so overwhelming that they then quickly were like, get on social media, do this,
do more, share this.
Yeah. So,
crap, we need this. Yeah,
it can backfire easily if you go down that route.
Which, let's be honest, the same kind of thing could happen with AI. There's going to be a point where someone's like, no, we can't use AI for this. This is not I can see this in education, for example. There's already discussions going on, especially in college level, or whatever. Like, oh my God, we can't let students be using AI. But there will be some kind of inflection point where they go, all right, we need to use AI for this because you're going to need to understand how to utilize that properly and ethically in order to function in the business world once you're done later on. So you're right. That happens all the time. Like a new tech comes out and everyone finds a way to recoil from it and say like, no, here's all the ways we cannot do this. We can't use it. And then at some point, everyone suddenly realizes, oh no, if we want to actually survive and thrive and
you just put it in the fabric of our day-to-day life.
Yeah, exactly.
You weave it in.
All right. Cool. All right. Hey, good stuff. That was good stuff. That concludes the AI portion of this conversation. We might touch on it another way.
Oh, I think we will.
But at least the intentional portion there of the AI trilogy may be complete at this point. So, all right, let's get into this whole customer experience, employee experience. This has actually been a very relevant topic that we've touched on several times too. We had Andy Zanger on a few weeks back talking about the customer journey, experiential shopping, and he brought up the idea that, hey, if you empower employees, you're really making that other stuff easier too. I think Tony last week talking about AI in retail, that again came up as a theme there, empowering employees. So again, when we're talking about the customer experience, we talk about it a lot of times from the how can I make sure that my customers are happy, but we don't necessarily talk as much about are my employees happy and how can technology enable that too, because again, that might be just as important, maybe even more so. And like I've referenced on some episodes before, I remember back in the day when I worked retail and something went wrong or the technology wasn't working, I couldn't look something up, something wasn't where it was supposed to be, my gun scanner wasn't working or whatever. You're sitting there grumbling about like stupid devices, stupid thing never works. Your customers are hearing that and they're like, what am I doing here?
John doesn't have an inside voice. Yeah. When he was working in retail. This stupid gun.
After enough time, I think I was in retail for almost 10 years. After that much time, maybe it was 8 years, but I promise you, there was after a certain amount of time, I just didn't care about who heard me.
I had that moment. I worked at Circuit City for 3 years.
Nice.
And one of the jobs I got tagged with was cycle counting.
Oh yeah.
Batteries.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
I can imagine how that sounds
every
terrible.
kiosk, the amount that was the worst. That was one of the worst professional days of my life. Was just walking around, beep,
Yeah.
beep.
Wow.
Exactly. So again, if your employee experience had been better, you might have felt a little better about that. Maybe had more time to be cheerful with the customers instead of walking around with a sour look on your face.
What would make that experience better? Riding a Segway while doing it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. No.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
There's nothing that can make
audio
cycle counting
listeners,
batteries better.
Mike just pulled Mitch McConnell and froze up figure on the microphone.
He's either thinking about something or refuses to answer the question.
Yes.
I'm trying to find the perfect balance of how do we keep this in a public like.
Yes.
What would be awesome? Story at 11, because I'll tell you.
So the party line answer is RFID would have made that awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So all right. So then let's talk about it. So why should we be more focused on employee experience when it comes to B2B solutions? And now I know, Mike, you have a fantastic story to share with us. Again, this was part of our pre-conversation about what we were going to talk about in this pod. And you shared this story with me. Like, all right, well, I've got to build a question around you being able to tell this story about Fordlandia. So take it away.
So I'll let Aaron take this one.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So brief history. Fordlandia was a fun little thing that Ford did in the late 1920s 30s,
20s. Yeah.
20s, 30s,
Yep.
and
No, you can. You want if you want you can.
Oh, okay. So
You go for it.
oh yeah. So it's awesome. It's awesome. It's such a cool story. So Ford, in the 20s and 30s, you had the cars coming up, and they needed to secure rubber. And at that point, all rubber was being imported, so they needed to secure their own source of rubber.
Right.
So they get this great idea. Let's go to Brazil and let's buy some land to the tune of $20 million, and let's do what we want to do down there. And we're gonna do all this awesome stuff. We're gonna build we're gonna build houses for employees. They're gonna work 9 to 5. We're gonna give them free medical. We're gonna take care of all these people, and it's gonna be awesome. Spoiler alert: it wasn't. And the narrator voice kicks in.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Arrested Development.
Yeah, so they go ahead.
Yeah.
They don't touch on. They don't work with any local folks, basically, and they botched everything. How close do you plant the trees together? What do you build houses in the middle of the rainforest on slabs of concrete on the ground?
Probably not.
No, there's lots of bugs. That sucks. So, yeah, obviously the employees weren't too thrilled that they weren't able to sleep. Now, could you imagine how hot it is in Brazil from 8 to 5 during the day?
Yeah.
Employee culture's not working in the fields in the middle of the day. They prefer to work at night.
Yeah.
So you built this entire structure around an awful employee experience. So one of the other things they found out was if other competitors in the area were being paid about 20 cents a day. Mm-hmm. These folks were being paid 30 cents a day.
Yeah.
You think as a business owner, oh, great, these are highly paid folks.
Right.
That group found out that the U.S. equivalent teams were making $5 a day.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
So now you have quite a pay disparity there, and it was revolution.
Yeah.
To the point where they had to actually get the managers out before violence ensued.
man.
I actually think this square dancing, the forcing of the square dancing, is what set him off.
There's pictures of the four square downs. So all right, so it wasn't a good experience. But then they turned around and was it 90 miles of the river?
Yeah, 80, 90 miles.
So, and they created Balterra, and that was let's take all the voice of the employee and let's build this right. Let's work with local arborists that understand how far apart the trees need to make. So they increased the yield. And ultimately, you then kind of had the 40s, and there was that whole World War II thing that was going down.
Yeah.
So it did benefit them in the long run that they were able to secure the supply rubber. And that's actually still in place today. They're still using it. And ultimately, they sold the original Fordlandia back to the Brazilian government. I think it was $20,000 or $250,000, which if you convert that into kind of modern times, 2023 money, it would be essentially a $200 million. Oops.
Wow.
Yeah.
A very expensive lesson to learn, but
And yet Ford's still running strong. So I guess.
so I think to bring
didn't
that
hurt them too badly.
Yeah, right. I think in terms of bringing that back to today's world, you have the security IT folks that everything needs to be so super secure that the employees almost got it. And Aaron, you almost mentioned little workarounds, and we have our own little delicacies that we sometimes have to. Work around some system limitations at times. That's what an employee could potentially maybe say. I'm not saying I do that. Absolutely not. I abide by all, and I agree to the terms and conditions. There's
a great picture that's
reading them thoroughly too, right?
there's a great photo that's been out there. And I don't know who posted it. Some CEO, some leader, something on LinkedIn. But it's a field that a pasture you're looking into with a gate up, no walls on either side, and a path walking around it. And that's a good analogy for what if companies don't think about their employees and what their employees want, they're going to find ways around it, even if it's a stupid gate in the middle of a field, right? So, the Fordlandia thing is I thought was a great example of a company forcing their will on their employees to an extreme. Yes, but you have to go look at what Ford did. Ford did revolutionize the world education system in the United States. All of it was based upon his mentality and routines that he put in place. I think he even made his workers in the United States square dance. Right? I think that's what really pushed them all to the edge.
Probably, yeah.
You ever been square dancing?
Square dancing thing is
not
real.
for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's very real.
You have to square dance.
Yeah, it was.
If you're going to work at Ford, you're square dancing.
Well, you had to eat the food that he mandated. Right. So food, dancing, and then
He was totally into this whole assembly line thing. I want your literal life to be an assembly line. At
correct.
That point, yeah.
Right. And it would push anybody to the edge. Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is going to go back a little bit to the AI tools and things. We have to be careful it's a slippery slope with employees today. If you force them to do all these things and capture all this and all that, they're just going to be pushed to the edge and slowly implode your business.
Is there a pendulum swing though? Does it go too far the other way?
Absolutely.
So I'll give you the
Dean
context.
doesn't want to give the employees too much.
No. I'm going to throw it on the table because yesterday's headline was all on Zoom employees are coming back for 2 days, and I thought to myself, this is ironic.
Zoom.
Dude, I mean, this is like a company that
You were the savior,
right?
You were the
And
we
now,
looked up to you.
Yes, right. And
You
now
made this world happen,
now
right?
we have to go back to work. No, we got to go back to the office because you guys aren't getting anything done. So
But you still have to do
get
Zooms
your
from
ass
your
back
desk.
in here.
If you're talking to your neighbor next cube over, you got to Zoom them.
So
you got to keep it going. Yeah.
To me, I was like, oh, well, that's the pendulum. Had gone too far or whatever, and maybe now it's starting to come back a little bit. I think your point's valid, and we all learned a lot during the pandemic around a little bit more around employee relations and things of that nature. But it is curious. It is curious.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think especially when you talk about our industry and the reseller environment and a lot of the different types of industries that our folks sell into, whether it's retail, hospitality, health, really any business that we're selling to on the B2B side, at some point it is beneficial to be able to go in and talk to employees and ask them like, what are you dealing with? Because I a lot of times I think what the employees are experiencing and dealing with and what would make their lives better can be extremely different from what a manager or a director,
for sure.
or certainly someone higher up in a company thinks is actually going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
You go to them and say, hey, I really think you guys would benefit from having, mobile printers, on your shop floor or whatever to print out orders or something like that, or create labels or something, to do this. Or I really think that your team would benefit from having dynamic digital signage, touchscreen digital signage or whatever that they can work off of during the day and take customers up to show them something in a retail environment.
Right.
You might ask someone in the back, the higher levels of the company, and they go, nah, we don't need anything like that. We're an old-fashioned company. We're good. Our folks are great at taking people and by the hand and showing them what they need to show.
Windows 95 is still operating just fine. Don't worry about it.
We've been doing
They
it
fax
this
in their
way for
POs. It
30
comes over
years.
just fine.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that.
Do we need toner?
You might find someone who will have that attitude, and in reality, you talk to an employee and they're going to say, no, this sucks. It's terrible. I really wish that I didn't have to go to the back room every time I wanted to check some inventory. It'd be awesome if I could do that in the palm of my hand. I would love to be able to show somebody all the different options online in the store instead of just being able to go to my computer behind the counter and swiveling the monitor around or something like that. There's so many things I think if you just talk to employees will give you so much ammo that you can take to. Now, granted, I don't know if the business leaders are still going to listen to you, but at the very least, it's all part of that understanding more of what's actually happening on the business. And again, that idea of if you're making them happy, they're going to do better at their jobs. They're going to have better attitudes with the customers, and you're going to have higher retention rates. And overall, your business is going to improve. I mean, I can't imagine there's any executive who doesn't think at this point that creating an environment where your employees are happy and staying on the job and doing the job the right way every day is not going to increase your profits. But then again, not everybody does see it that way, I guess.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about earlier is that we're going to solve all these problems today.
Well, yeah,
and I
of
think the
course.
solution for cybersecurity and employee satisfaction and tied to that is all thin clients. I think mobile thin clients and laptop thin clients are the solution.
Yeah.
Oh, pray tell.
Do tell, yeah.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
From a secure operating standpoint, you're creating these read-only devices that you connect to a cloud application.
I
and
got
as,
you. Yeah.
As more 5G connectivity becomes a thing, you're constantly going to be connected. So to use a cloud application on your local laptop, that's it.
Right.
You're not
right. Yeah.
You're taking the threat of me doing something I'm not supposed to be doing away, and now you're fully controlled through a remote application. So IT loves that.
Right. Yeah.
So
it secures their environments, right? Then it puts that worry aside. And then at the same time, if you make the experience easy, seamless, and understandable for the employee, they won't revolt and burn the place down.
That's a good point.
Which is generally a good thing.
Yeah, right. You're trying to always prevent that.
You're trying to prevent that.
Because the Fordlandia employee to today really hasn't changed much.
This is true.
We all still hate square dancing.
We all still hate square dancing.
I don't know if I've ever square danced before.
It's terrible.
Oh, we'll do-si-do
had
afterwards. Yeah.
At some point in my elementary school youth,
I had to.
I had a music classes where we had to learn how to
We had
square
to.
dance.
That's the Ford mentality. Right?
There's nothing in
Really?
this. There's nothing in here in my feet anymore that would allow me to still do it. I mean, I wiped that from my memory.
Absolutely
as quick as
remember
I could,
doing that in,
but
like,
I
the
do remember
sixth
having
grade.
to learn how to do it. Yeah.
For sure. It was
I like
part of
line
the-
dancing.
It was like part of the physical
That's
activity.
a cooler version of it.
It is.
See,
Yeah, that was the.
That's a late '90s version of it.
Yeah, let's say that was the
Okay.
the hip
Well, it's
90s
hip to
country
it's hip to be
version.
square.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
That's why they brought in swing.
Good night, everybody.
I'm here.
That was it
for
for today's episode of the TEConnect podcast. All right, so we've mentioned cybersecurity a few times, so let's shift gears to talk a little bit about that too, because again, we have another good story here, and we've got some interesting, broader, I think, conversations around cybersecurity to talk about. So we did a warehouse tech survey recently where we found that over 80% of respondents are outsourcing cybersecurity to external IT firms. So obviously our talking point with that was like, hey, that's something that our VARs should all be getting involved with and should be trying to figure out if maybe you're not cybersecurity experts yourself, but you're at least attaching yourself and connecting yourself to ISVs and vendor partners who are experts in cybersecurity and can speak to that, because clearly they're not doing it in-house. They are expecting someone external to help them out with this. So do you think there's an opportunity here for VARs that aren't security or cybersecurity experts? And and then where does this Constantinople story fit in? Aaron, this sounds like one you were ready to kind of throw out here.
Yeah, the Constantinople story was something that was generated because of the simplicity of how a network can be destroyed. A complicated network, right? A very strong, secure. You hear about Target or Visa, or all these people getting attacked all the time, and you think, oh, those are impenetrable. You can't get through to them. And that's the same concept as Constantinople, right? That was the epicenter of the global market of the time, and the Ottoman Empire was going after it. They were taking all the latest military technology they possibly could, with I think not even cannons. It was fireballs being cannonball to the walls and all that stuff. And what ultimately, to make a long story longer, what ultimately made
Our favorite kind.
what brought down Constantinople and the Ottoman Empire to take it over was a simple, 3 or 4 scouts from the Ottoman Empire were walking through an open door in one of the gates that was on the back end of the city, and they slowly trickled in over about a 4 or 5 day period, while they were still raging the fireball battles and the arrows and everything, couldn't get through the walls, and they slowly just raised flags in the city and created internal chaos, right? And the people of the city thought, oh, well, the Ottomans are here, we'll just give up.
Right.
And that gate now is a PC, right? And if you don't lock that gate, that is an easy way to access to any corporate environment, right? We talked about it a little bit earlier where we don't know the AI emails coming through, right? They're getting smarter and smarter. And you have people in different positions in companies who are, accounting, procurement. I'm not trying to call out those people, but
As being susceptible.
Yeah,
To,
we love you, accountants.
We all know who they are. We know the people likely
even
to
though
click
you're
on our
gullible.
email.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Invoice.zip is not invoice.zip.
and or a happy birthday, and someone that you probably don't know is not going to say happy birthday to you when it's not your birthday, and so don't click on that, right?
Or respond to it. Or,
Correct.
Oh,
and so
man.
there's tools out there. There's all the soft partners are making them. Google Chromium is a great secure environment, right? Linux partners out there are great. iGel, Stratdesk, they make very secure read write only type of environments, and so they have 2 gigs of penetrable space or attack surfaces versus Windows is great, but it has 120 gigs of attack space. So you kind of want to be smart about your business, know what you're trying to protect, how you're protecting it. You can still do Windows through a Linux environment, right? You can still access the things that you need to access and give that employee experience a positive employee experience with these tools,
Right.
and also securing your environment so you don't have complete chaos ensue.
Okay.
So
What is the point of inflection of IT security spend compared to ransomware payouts? So we can. You look at any chart that anybody's produced in the past 5 years about IT security spend. Find me a graph that said IT security spend is going to decline over the next few years.
Right. No.
And then find me a graph that says ransomware is not going to become more and more problem.
Sophisticated,
Malware has become more and more problem. How much money do we continue to throw at that year over year over year over year? At what point do we win that war? Is it a proverbial war on drugs?
I think as soon as we win or lose the war, however you look at it, on email, right? I've been hoping email dies soon. I mean, there's other tools like Slack that are much more effective in communicating. So and it's harder to get inside a Slack environment and set a network on fire. So that may switch as soon as emails and certain doors are closed that we don't use, very archaic ones. But to your point, I don't know, because these repositories of information and data are in our emails. I think you have to store them legally for 7-8 years or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult question, because I think as soon as you get rid of email, you solve a lot of these security issues.
But man, that sounds like a long, hard
You would
list
need
to get to
something
that,
revolutionary to build the behemoth that is the infrastructure
Correct.
around
Right.
cybersecurity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's massive, right? And it's a behemoth. So I don't know that you can like rattle the cage or come up with something that's going to be that revolutionary to change it, unless it's your idea that everybody goes to thin client PCs.
We talk about it like creating the mindset, creating that experience. So even like we need to lean into AI, we need to lean into future technology. I think that's a huge thing with cybersecurity is more and more generations grow up knowing what to look for. The attacks are going to become more unique.
Yeah,
certainly. But I think there's an awareness. I don't click those links, but I was born and raised in a world where don't trust anybody, and don't meet anybody you meet on the internet. Don't get in the car with strangers.
There's a white van.
But now I use the internet to get in the car with strangers every time I use Uber.
Exactly.
So I guess contradicting myself a little bit.
Here's
there.
where I was with this topic. I was reading an article in Forbes around the value of the VARs diminishing around cybersecurity, and they're making the argument that in the old days, air quotes, 5 years ago, resellers would walk in and they would be the trusted provider of a cybersecurity solution. That has now shifted to marketplaces, whereas entities are now homegrowing their own cybersecurity. Right. And the argument is, well, how do you get back to that, or how do resellers still make a business within cybersecurity? And they had a lot of good points upon which you could do that. You could be a trusted in a niche. You could analyze gaps. We've talked about things, right, where resellers need to. If you're reselling technology today, whether it's digital signage, point of sale, automatic data, it doesn't really matter. You can't be a one-trick pony. You got to know other things. And obviously, cybersecurity is one of those red flag ones that is going to require, in today's world, a lot of resources around thwarting that, right? I mean, there's to your point, there's just so many, right, Aaron? So many endpoints into an organization where these types of hacks can occur. So I don't know. When you think about the infrastructure, security operations centers, right? SOCs, I guess that's the big word, or our acronym in this case, where all these organizations have these operation centers around, just security. Period. Whether it's a couple of individuals or a whole department, if your organization is big enough, dude. To me, that just seems like it's not going away in the sense that there's a massive organization or a massive amount of resources around it today. Number two, I don't know, these cyber hackers feel like they're always going to be looking for the next big score. Yeah, the next, right? What's the next 0 day? Where can I exploit something that's going to make me uber rich? That's not going away. The incentive is there, right? So not until we do revolutionary, maybe Web3 is going to be it, where we get into blockchain technology and you can't. Maybe it's what's the next computing? Oh, sorry, quantum. Quantum. Yeah. Maybe quantum computing is going to thwart and become the ultimate security. I don't know. What do you think? Yep. Nope. Don't.
I
didn't mean to mic drop.
I thought we were answering all the questions here.
Yeah.
So I just posed more questions.
Thin clients solve the world problems.
Oh, they do.
There you go.
Yeah, it does. So there's the answer.
Yep.
Does LG have that product?
Oh, absolutely. That's why Aaron's here today. Please enjoy this paid sponsorship by Aaron Addison.
Take it away, Aaron.
Take it away, Aaron. Yeah.
Hit that fast forward button 30 seconds, 3 times, and we're back.
I mean, we have seen, the Gartner VCC data, which shows, box types, PC towers, those type of things going the opposite direction of a mobile thin client, right? The laptop, because you can take it in and take it anywhere. Let the data follow the person, not the person have to go to that terminal or this terminal to get their information. And that's the most secure environment that an IT manager wants, right? They want that space so that they can contain it all behind their firewalls in their bridge.
A Star Trek
there we go.
reference.
Star Trek reference.
That was a pre-recorded conversation there.
that we know of. It was still recorded.
Well, that's true. That's true. Probably not in the actual pod episode. Let's put it that way. So, if you want to learn
Do
more about
April,
that, I don't know.
Yeah,
you know.
April Fool's edition coming out soon. All the outtakes.
In October. Yeah.
in October.
So how locked down are you guys personally? Do you have like on your devices? Do you have like personalized security and stuff like that?
Dean wants to
Or
know in case
like a
he wants
personal
to hack
VPN
you.
or something.
Yeah, like a personal VPN, stuff like that. Do you guys utilize that? Is that
I don't have that, but I mean that's one way to get around all of that earlier AI tracking because I mean you can't do that with that, right?
right? Yeah.
But I also like the feature what we were talking about earlier. Not to talk about it again, but I want help.
Yeah.
I got so much other stuff on my mind.
Right.
I wanna,
Yeah, you
whatever,
don't want to
so.
have to deal with this, right?
Right.
I mean, this is just one of those.
I'm not
things
looking up nefarious things.
right? Yeah. So, I mean, it is one of those things that's really annoying when it comes around because, we've all known of companies, been probably pretty close to companies that have gone through some type of cyber, hack or some kind of ransomware, which is just like ridiculous, right? Here's my take on ransom, any company that does that. It's any company or any entity that shuts down a company, right, for a period of time and, obviously demands some type of compensation for them to get back up and running. That's analogous to like them hiring a militia to go in and storm a headquarters physically, right?
Yeah.
And shut it down. What would we do as a society if that happened? Like if somebody knocked down the doors of XYZ Corporation, with guns a-blazing and said, hey, we're not leaving here until you give me $4 million. I mean, it's like we'd call the military, right? We'd shut it down. But in cybersecurity, it's like, we just roll over and, what's this going to cost? And now we assume it into the cost of doing business, right? We just assume that the company's going to get hacked at some point in time, and we got an insurance policy against that. And
Or we just raise prices.
Isn't that
to cover
crazy?
it.
Yeah. It's the hackers getting out ahead of everything
I
else
guess.
is the problem. They're
Yeah.
smarter than the rest of us, and they're getting this done first. And
That
we're
always
all playing
perplexed
catch up.
me. Yeah, it always perplexed me when you can, hackers can literally shut down a business. One of our competitors got shut down, and it's like you feel bad. It's like,
the sad thing is, are they making more
going
money
on?
off of doing that than they would just getting a legitimate job and you're putting their skills to use? That's probably a sad thing.
All they need is one payday, dude.
Yeah.
I can do a lot with $4 million. I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, this is not conspiracy podcast, right?
No,
No, it's not.
How I'm working on a new kind of storytellers thing with this Constantinople and Fordlandia, and we were talking about it earlier, but the Waltham Watch Company, which is there's an interesting book out there called Disturbing Time, or Disrupting Time. I'm sorry, by Aaron Stark. And he talks about how the watch industry in America was the most powerful and most popular. It was hitting all the cylinders correctly. And that the Swiss came over and stole the information, took it back. Well, that's corporate espionage, right? That happened over a period of time. Are those hackers being kind of, put in play by competition to kind of stop things from happening? Who knows? You'd have to ask the hackers, right? But,
And they're really open about that kind of stuff too.
oh, absolutely.
Just buy them a pint and they'll sit down.
You should just email them. They'll respond.
Don't respond.
Tell them you're a Nigerian prince.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I feel like we should pick a different African country.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably should at this point. Yeah. Or say an American prince or something. I don't know. Just an American dummy. Yeah. That seems just as viable.
My brother-in-law, Greg, needs $50.
Yes. Hey, I just got a surgical procedure. I'm going bankrupt. Oh, no, wait, that's GoFundMe. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's an actual real thing. Never mind.
I forgot my train of thought, but that's all right.
Good stuff.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I do agree on this whole conversation, especially when it comes to cybersecurity. This idea of the security aspect being something that we all need. We have to get involved with it somehow. And to your point, Dean, I think that maybe it's more starting to get more homegrown, and we've got to figure out how to fold into that in some way. I don't know. I'm not sure where this goes as far as VARs are concerned, because I feel like there's still a lot of untread water here. Where I think at the end of the day, we've talked about this before on the podcast. Is like, make sure that the partners you're working with, whether it's an ISV, vendor, whatever, that they have a grasp of how security works. and that it's baked into their solutions, that they've thought this stuff through ahead of time, because nothing's going to make you look dumber than if you go in and sell a solution and bring in some ISV that you didn't really know all that well, and like they get hacked.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
two
a la
months
Solar
in.
Winds. Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
The mindset of it's not, they're not looking for me, they're not coming for me,
Exactly.
and that gets pushed back, when in fact it's everyone needs to have that mindset of
That
it
is
could be me.
That is a very good point.
You lock your doors at night.
Yeah.
Why would you leave your Wi-Fi?
A lot of us probably have security systems, even though we live in ridiculously safe neighborhoods. You know, like we
That's
just
right.
we do it because it's what we've been trained to do, and yet it's shocking how often we don't do it in the digital realm. So
Yep.
that's a good point. Yeah. All right. I think we've gone deep on some of these topics here.
Yes.
We've
We've
covered-
solved AI future. We
did.
solved internet security.
right.
Yep. Those were
What's
solved
next?
employee experience.
The meaning of life.
Oh, yeah, we missed out on that one.
Oh, that'll be at the end.
42.
42. What?
Was it? And isn't that the bind? It wasn't 42. Was it 20?
Was it 42?
Was it 42 or was it 20?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the
Yeah.
Galaxy.
What was it? 20? Was it 21?
Whatever
Whatever.
I thought 42 was the number.
There was a theory where it was the binary number for asterisks, which in PC speak is all answers.
Oh, that's something entirely different.
So the answer to life is everything.
Is everything.
Ah.
Is
got it.
asterisks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you type in like search query, you need to find PDFs.
Asterisk.pdf.
and it finds all PDFs. So the number in binary was just asterisks, which would imply everything. So the answer to life is everything.
There you go. See?
What are we doing here?
Yeah. What do we,
Anything else you guys need? Hunger? Anybody got anything for hunger? I'm out of coffee. So that's actually we're suffering from famine, but we've solved others.
Okay, so as always, thank you so much to the sponsors of the TEConnect podcast. You probably didn't know what you were getting into with this episode.
Yeah, really.
Thanks so much to LG for lending us Mike and Aaron for this one. We do appreciate their support of the show. Hey, if you like this podcast, if you like episodes like this, if you're like, man, I want Mike and Aaron to be on more often, these guys are entertaining, you got to tell us. You know, we have
That's
to
right.
know. You have to tell us.
just type
that
it in.
that you want
Put it in there.
this. Yeah,
Send us a note.
Send us an email, but hey, it doesn't have to be just an email. You can also leave us a review if you're listening on, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. Tell us what you like, don't like about the show. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, all that other stuff you're supposed to do. Leave a comment. We get random, rare comments occasionally on YouTube videos on our channel. And they're always either someone being spammy or just some random nonsensical comment that doesn't make any sense.
That's AI.
That is.
Yeah, I'm sure
bot.
it is. Yeah. Just give us. I want a tangible comment. I just want to say, hey, nice episode. Hey, you guys did great. Hey, I thought that was really cool what Mike had to say about X. Hey, Dean doesn't know what he's talking about. He's babbling or something.
Clearly, yes.
Get that John guy off the mic. We're done with him. We need someone else. Bring Mike in as the new co-host. Man, I shouldn't have spoke that into existence.
And you mentioned talking about X. I don't think we brought up Twitter.
I think people like you. I think people like you.
Oh, do they? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Thanks. I needed that affirmation. I
You're
appreciate that. All right, I feel better. I was about to
And in a group
spiral.
hug.
And hey, as always, if you do want to connect us, if you have topics, ideas for the show, there's always a link in the show notes. You can submit an idea for something you want to hear about. Just for doing it, we'll send you a TEConnect podcast.
You get a free
t-shirt.
T-shirt.
Simple as that.
That's right.
Just say, hey, I want to hear more about AI. I want another AI trilogy. Here, have a T-shirt. I don't know how I'm going to do another AI trilogy, but sure, have a T-shirt. And if
Well, there's
you
the
do,
prequel.
Oh, are we going Star Wars now? Oh dear.
Oh, yeah.
Is that where we go back and just talk about
Yes.
foundational AI stuff from the 80s
How
and
the
90s?
hell did we get to here? Yeah, that's it.
Anybody else remember using Skynet for pagers?
Nice. Ooh, right.
And then you fast forward to Terminator, where Skynet's the network with AI that takes
There you go. There you
Yes.
go. All right. Man. All right. I can get
On to
behind that.
something.
On to something.
I can get behind that. All right. So send that stuff into us. If you ever want to reach out to us, you can always find us on X/Twitter/ whatever Elon names it tomorrow. Who knows? We're at TEConnect Pod there. By the way, if there's another platform that our listeners are hanging out on, if you're into Mastodon, Blue Sky, Threads, any of the 6,000 other social platforms that have popped up, let us know, and I'll be happy to create an account there and do some stuff there too. Because maybe that's where we're going. And always, you can also reach us by email, TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, let's wrap things up as always. First of all, with our value to the VAR. if you haven't figured out from all the giggling, we're having fun behind the scenes here at every possible moment.
Absolutely.
But hey, I do need these guys to get serious for a
Oh,
moment.
yes.
Because you got to talk about your company now. You got to represent LG for
That's
a
right.
moment here.
Yeah.
So serious faces, put those on right now if you can. All right. Aaron's got the serious face. He's already there. Mike's gonna have a little trouble with this, I think.
We get hotter in here.
No, it's a switch for Mike.
All right, so let's talk about this. The stuff we've talked about today. So when we get into this whole, where does generative AI fit into the business world in our channel, employee experience, cybersecurity? How is LG helping address these topics in our channel? How are you helping out VARs here? To tackle these solutions and these needs and help them find some timely solutions for their customers.
That's a great question. I think LG has done a tremendous job of creating displays that easily allow us to visually consume mission critical information.
Oh man!
So if you think of everything that we talked about, from cybersecurity, AI,
Yep.
all the data that's being created, all
Yep.
the experiences that we're creating, we visually consume our
Need
surroundings.
dashboards. You need, yeah, right?
Exactly. And LG creates the displays that you can consume that on.
you
So
go.
it spans everything. We talked about the thin client laptops, the desktop displays, those super cool ultra wides where you can surf the web on 18 different browsers at the same time. It's awesome. All the way to transparent displays that you're going to find in retail stores so you can better your shopping experience.
Right.
So the really cool digital signage. Hey, what gate is your flight at? LG's got that 24/7 digital signage display out there.
Nice.
So as we continue to evolve with more data, allowing to visually consume that information.
I like it.
Aaron, talk about the
do you got?
ecosystem too, right? It's because you touched on it at the very, very, very beginning about how LG has an ecosystem of partners and things of that nature. That's what we preach. That
Oh, yeah, all the time.
In order for technology
No VARs and
resellers to
island.
be no VARs and island, you need that ecosystem of folks, right? And you're working with folks.
Yeah. So the easiest thing for us is to make sure that we have these products and these partnerships and to create these products together, right? With the best in breed, and that they're purpose built. Having a purpose built device for an environment is key to securing your environment, and on top of that, making the most out of the environment with your employees, attracting the better talent, right? Keeping them, retaining them around by providing them the technology that they want to use, or they're going to find ways around it. So, doing bundles and products with Microsoft, Google, all those big guys, and providing to the market is what we're really focused on.
Very good. There it is.
There you go. Yeah.
Need a partnership. Need an ecosystem.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. At the end of the day, you just, all these things we've been talking about here, this stuff of generative AI, employee experience, cybersecurity, these are all hot topics that your customers, your end customers, are all going to be talking about, thinking about, trying to figure out what it means to their business. So you have to find partners that can help you speak to this stuff. If you're not going to speak to it yourself, if you don't quite know how to get to it, if you're not sure where you fit into all of that, at least find partners like LG that can help you speak to all of this stuff. I mean, you've listened to it today. You've heard these conversations. We've had fun stories around it, but those stories had a meaning. They had a point. They had an idea of like, hey, we understand why cybersecurity is so important because of Constantinople, for instance. We understand why employee experience is so important because of Fordlandia. It's that kind of stuff. I think I love stuff like that because that's great stuff to take to a client where you can tell them like, hey, we're not having this conversation with you about because we just want you to buy this gadget. We want you to buy this display. Right. We want you to buy this mobile computer because I'm trying to make a buck. It's because I understand why you need it, and here's why. And I've got facts and figures to back it up. I've got stories to back it up. I've got
contextualize.
Yeah, exactly. I can contextualize it. There you go. Yep. Great word. I love it.
I'm done.
Dean will be back on the podcast in 2024. All right, let's wrap up as always with our favorite segment, What's TEConnecting with you? This is where we get to talk about something in the world of science, tech, business, innovation, just something we feel like riffing on today. Not necessarily have to do with anything else we're talking about. Aaron, I know you weren't expecting this question.
Nope.
Have you had any time to think about it? I can start with Mike if you need me to.
Start with Mike because I haven't
Okay.
really. There's a few things going on.
All right, I'll let you ponder for a moment. So, Mike, what's TEConnecting with you right now?
I think the first time we were on, I think it was talking about like not space travel, but like using spaceships to go from New York to Australia in 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. This time I'm going to go with aliens.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
All right, so where do you land on?
UAPs.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Where do you
Where do I land on? I mean, I haven't seen one.
Are they here?
No.
Are they not? Do you think they're actually coming?
Oh yeah. Oh, they're here. Yeah, but I think the technology that's all around that, I think that's huge. I don't know.
Meaning how they got here?
Everything.
Oh, okay.
Everything. From the organisms, the beings themselves, to the technology of the ships, anti-gravity, antimatter tech. That stuff's awesome.
Quantum, cosmos,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
I was talking with Rob Dorsey
It freaks me out, actually.
last night about some of this stuff, and there may have been a few libations involved, and we got talking to the point of electric vehicles versus traditional vehicles and what's more sustainable. And I pulled this card out, and I was like, we need to talk about anti-gravity for motion and propulsion. So
And
yeah, I mean, using that technology.
I don't have the answer there, dude.
Oh man!
But in order to believe in aliens, you have to suspend your belief of everything we know to be physics today, thermodynamics and all that kind of good
Oh yeah,
stuff.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So you're
It's stuff that
suspending
Mike's
it.
like, yeah, your point. I'm
just saying.
suspended.
Yeah, things that we don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, if it was possible
Then
and
you're
known today,
suspending
we
the
would.
scientific method as well, right? Are you going to go there?
Well, true.
All right, there you go. So anyway, go ahead.
Mike's going to teleport out at the end of this podcast.
But if it was stuff that we knew about now, we would be doing it. Like we would. I wouldn't have a layover in Detroit that I have to stop at
no
McDonald's
doubt.
at tomorrow.
See, it's all
outside
about
of
Mike.
gate A37. For any of those traveling through DTW, fantastic crew.
So are you of the mind that like we've actually had access to alien tech and it's been incorporated in some of our technology? Like, do you believe that?
I would say that I'm of the camp that would believe that is a possibility.
Okay.
I think the secret is buried in the Amazon.
Fordlandia.
Yes.
That's part of it. No, I mean, using
where
LiDAR and
it's
SIDAR now to see how massive their culture was, I think, that's...
Brazil,
yeah.
January 20th, 1997, something like that.
Oh, what happened?
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay. Different story.
No, it's like,
Say,
yeah.
Once upon a time, I was
yeah.
I was a UFO nut when I was a kid. Like there was a period of time, probably from like I don't know 4th through let's say freshman year or so, that I just consumed every single UFO book and story, and
Cool.
that was all
Maybe
about
that's
that stuff.
Maybe all
for a
the
long
recent topics of it coming up that it's reignited my
time.
childhood
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah,
love of.
I'm dubious, but I'm
Yes.
also kind of like, man, this stuff is just fun to talk about too. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right, Aaron,
Dream a
you
little
thought up
dream.
something? What's TEConnecting with you?
I'm struggling with something. So,
So Dean and I can do ours.
we'll
and us to
answer
come
it.
back.
Yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
need your guys' opinion.
Go for
Okay,
it.
okay.
I'm trying to decide if I need to come into the future with a new toothbrush.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
What's the
I'm
tech?
old
That's
school.
Sonic Care type thing.
You know,
or-
back and forth hand.
Yep.
Yeah,
Works just fine, right?
Right.
But everybody I see, I was on a boys trip this past weekend to Oregon, and all my buddies had electric toothbrushes, and I was like,
I mean, you still have to do a lot of work even with the electric. It's just kind of spinning on its own.
so what's the benefit? What's the benefit to an electric
I don't
toothbrush?
use one, so I don't know. Like, you
Okay.
guys use an electric toothbrush?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like you can't operate as fast as that thing can move. It's all about head speed, right? Like, zzz,
But
and
if you go too hard, isn't that bad on your gums?
no. Don't worry about that because it stops if you go too hard. There's technology in the toothbrush.
See what I'm saying?
If you press too hard, it
Okay.
stops vibrating. So it's
Interesting.
got your back there. There's some technology there, dude.
Now-
Yeah.
So I've
I
exclusively
would
used
say-
analog toothbrushes. I've not had a cavity. So if the desired outcome of an electric toothbrush is to have good
Yeah,
oral,
I don't know that there's a 1-to-1 correlation.
I've never had a cavity, and every single one of my buddies has.
Ooh.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
So Dean, are you a user of electric toothbrushes?
Yes, I have been for the last
In the
few
past
years.
2 years, how many cavities have you had?
None. But
Whoa.
let's
Prior
not
to
go there
that.
because I have the world's worst teeth in the world. So it doesn't,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Again, I don't know that it has anything to do with the toothbrush.
Right.
Now, I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
say,
I have the softest
I'm not
teeth.
using the electric toothbrush. My wife has one. I mean, she hasn't been screaming from the rooftops about it necessarily. I will say I am an evangelist for the water pick, though.
Oh,
I
see?
love that thing. And it's one of those things that even my dentist has like kind of recognized. Like, they're like, oh man, you've done a really good job like cleaning out the back of your teeth. Like, you must floss pretty hardcore. I'm like, nope, I do not.
Does it hurt?
No strings back there. No, not really. I mean, there's like settings for how powerful the jet
okay.
you can be. I love it. I love that thing, man. It's one of those things like you do it. I know some people like don't like it because they think it's too messy. Because you have to kind of like, be like leaned over your sink when you're doing it because you're kind of like keeping your mouth open, letting the water fall out. It sounds disgusting to talk about.
It does.
But then you use it and you see how much stuff comes out from your
Yes,
teeth
right.
that you're not getting from flossing or brushing. And I'm
Yes,
just like,
yes.
all right, I'm on board with this thing.
Yeah.
So they're bringing the dental experience at the office to the home slowly.
Yeah.
When will they bring in laughing gas to the home? Sitting, that's what I want to know.
I mean, if you find
Right.
a connection to like a dental supply, company, maybe you can.
Coming up on bedtime, better start my routine.
I'll be right there, honey.
Man. All
I got
right.
the happy go-between for you, Aaron, though. You ever heard of Simone Gertz, who the queen of shitty robots?
Yeah.
No.
So she created the first robot that she created was a normal toothbrush on like a hat or a helmet or whatever, and then an arm came down that articulated the brushing moment for you.
Wasn't that in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Or Honey, I Shrunk the Ourselves?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, you can look it up.
That's great.
Yeah.
Or Gremlins, the damn
Every piece of
Gremlins, like
technology
you
he
always-
created, I want in my house. As it was.
My,
it was.
my son
Just
started
to shrink
watching
your
some of
kids.
those movies.
Yeah, just shrink the kids. See ya.
Oh man.
Oh, good stuff. All right, Dean, what's TEConnect with you?
Are you guys convinced that Big Brother is listening?
always?
Yes.
Okay. Well, here's
Or
something
somewhat is. I mean,
even worse for
I
you.
like my brother.
We were talking about AI modeling and hacking. Well, researchers have developed deep learning AI models capable of acoustic hacking with the ability to recreate passwords from the sound of your keyboard as you're typing.
man.
So there you go. So if you're on Zoom, right? All these researchers needed, by the way, was about 36. Well, of the 36 keys, they just needed you to press them 25 different times. And then now they know the sound signature of every single letter. It recorded what you were doing, and now they can hack you.
So I need those silent keyboards.
There you go. Just based on the acoustics.
But it's
of you
predicated
tapping
off
them.
of baselining the sound.
You got to baseline the sounds. That's right. That's right. But if you're on a so what they said is, if you're on a Zoom call and you're typing at the same time, they have applications that'll listen. And then it's doing the screen record at the same time. So there are two things. It's listening to your audio and it's, capturing what's happening on screen. But all they need is a little bit of information. And now they know when you hit the A key,
why you turn
this
off-
is what
turn
the
off
A
the
key
camera every
sounds
time you
like.
So
type
now
a
we're
password
doing
in.
now we're doing some code breaking. All you have to do is pull the keys off and switch around and relearn your keyboard.
There you go.
Yeah. QWERTY. I don't
QWERTY's
use QWERTY.
QWERTY's a thing of the past.
Boom.
I go
right
with
there.
DSAFL.
Yeah. So there you go. There's
Hey,
the
there's another reason on these Macs to use
This
nice
is why
little
we
Touch
supposed.
ID
This is why we need to
fingerprint.
have Rails.
Oh
All
man,
right. So there you go.
That's interesting.
Get back
yeah.
on Rails.
I thought that
I
was
guess
scary.
it's no
but-
different back in the day. The digital keypad, usually
Yeah,
like
right,
always had a different tone. Like
Yep.
1, 2, 3 had different tones,
Yep.
and you could listen to that and figure out numbers from that too. So
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's just a more sophisticated way of decrypting what you're doing.
acoustic hacking. Okay.
Acoustic hacking. There you go.
All right.
So answer to that one. Autofill passwords or multi-factor authentication.
Oh, what?
yeah.
Like if I have my
like,
thumbprint or if I have
Yeah,
an
yeah,
authenticator
yeah.
code,
Yeah.
I need
Or
enter,
hello.
enter your
I-
6-digit.
I like
Microsoft Hello.
Chrome. I like Chrome.
Yeah.
keep
Oh,
most of
Microsoft
mine.
Hello.
Yeah, I let Chrome keep most of my passwords,
Mm-hmm.
and I also have plenty of stuff too, where like on my Mac I can use the Touch ID.
Yeah.
Yes.
For
Face
stuff.
ID is
There's
great.
not many times I'm actually typing them in anymore.
That's very rarely that I actually type in a password.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Interesting.
But-
Good.
There you
That's
go.
a good one.
But we
That's a
all
good
know
one,
the
though.
accountants out there and
Again,
and the people in operations that are opening emails and just hacking away on their keyboards.
They got the
right?
Post-it notes with their passwords all right on the side of their monitor.
Again, I'm just going to say, imagine if
brutal.
we just paid hackers a reasonable salary. They could probably solve half the world's problems just by directing them at good stuff, you know?
That's right. There you go.
Yep. White hat hackers.
It's the thrill. It's the
There you go.
thrill they get.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It's not as exciting to solve world hunger when you can get
No.
$4 million by, crippling a hospital, I
Yes,
guess.
that's
You know,
right.
Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
What's
right.
TEConnecting with you, John?
So we talked a little bit about electric vehicles earlier at some point. I think we were mentioning some stuff about that. And Ford also in particular, let's get back to Ford here. So Ford, they're not necessarily going to make you do any square dancing to drive an electric vehicle. However, apparently they recently applied for a patent on a system that could be used that could use connected car technology to better aid in vehicle repossession.
Oh, Repo Man.
Yes. So
is
here-
getting an upgrade. Got it.
Here's what this includes. So they're talking about a variety of procedures for repoing cars when payments are delinquent or to encourage people to make their payments. Those include this is from a Verge article, sending messages to the owner's smartphone of the vehicle or the vehicle itself. Simplistic there.
That's easy.
Locking drivers out entirely.
Yeah.
Disabling functions like air conditioning.
See that? This is where I thought you were
Our
going to go.
world is burning, so
That's
let's
right.
turn off your air conditioning.
Isn't this
That'll convince you to
OnStar?
pay.
Hey, you're 15 days late. No
All-Star
AC.
can kind of do some stuff like
Yeah.
that too. I think.
Yeah.
Geofencing
Institute
drivers.
mild inconveniences. Your car's going to chime every 15 seconds till you pay this bill, sir.
Exactly. Or it only puts it on the station of like the worst music that you hate.
Yes.
The most. We understand you hate country music. Here's
So-
all day, every day country blared at
Bubblegum pop country.
15. Yeah.
Here are square dancing videos.
Your blinker chime is now an air horn.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. So the other options, geofencing drivers to only operate within a certain time or set area so they can still get to work, so they won't keep you from that. And in one especially harrowing example, enabling an autonomous car to just drive itself to an impound lot or a junkyard if the car's market value is determined to be below a certain threshold.
Nice.
So Ford is putting a lot of thought into
And
this.
God forbid if you're in the car at that point in time. Where's the car going?
I feel like ChatGPT wrote that.
Be awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Came up with that
You know,
concept.
ChatGPT wrote that. Yeah. Right.
So yeah, so that could be a little bit of a downside to the electric car and to the
Golly,
auto
how
driving
frustrating would that be? People would just beat up their cars. Is what would happen?
yeah.
Like if I got in my car and it said, "Sorry, you're 10 days delinquent. No AC, no whatever."
My car starts driving off. I'm gonna just
That comes. That's
Oh, no, not again.
and you,
It's now a 100 billion and one asset destruction.
Yeah.
Yes.
and look,
yes.
we all know we live in a hyper gun culture here in America. I can just see people running down the street with their AK-47, just spraying
Shooting the car
Mowing
up.
down their own car.
Oh, take away my AC, do you?
All right,
Nobody's getting this thing.
that is what's TEConnecting with us. Mike Stachura, Aaron Addison, thank you guys so
Thanks,
much for
boys.
joining us today. This
Thank
has been
you.
an absolute amount of
Thanks,
fun.
guys.
I appreciate it. Until next time, we do have to unplug, but make a car payment, I guess.
Yeah, you reminded me. I got to
Tip
do
your
that.
waiters and waitresses.
Sorry, Capital One.
make your payments. Maybe think about how you're typing your passwords, and as always, folks, please stay connected. TEConnect Podcast is brought to you by Elo. Looking for the kind of displays that stand out and help entice and engage customers?
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Isn't it though? I mean,
Enticing. Yes.
why would you want to display for anything other than enticement and engagement?
Like to throw people away or
Yeah.
disgust them so that they just run away? Run away! No.
I mean, I guess maybe if you're like a stay off my lawn kind of person, maybe you
could
have a
be.
display up for that.
Right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you are looking for that, look no further than Elo's large format interactive digital signage. With size options from 32 to 65 inches, Elo offers touchscreens that add brilliant interactive canvases to any environment with sleek, slim designs built to withstand the rigors of continuous commercial use. You gotta stand up to that continuous
Absolutely.
commercial use.
You can't be using no. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Now, we know Elo prides itself on modularity
Yes.
and choice for any kind of need.
True.
So here are just a few of the options available with these large format. PCAP or infrared touch technology, anti-friction glass. I've talked about this before, so you don't want to burn your
wanna
fingers
burn-
up
no,
when
no,
you set a
right,
fire,
yeah.
because you're swiping so hard. Touch-through capability, so if you need to put like a pane of glass over top of it, you can still touch
yes.
through.
Yeah.
4K options,
Nice.
computer modules, and Edge Connect peripherals. We love that.
Boom.
Edge Connect stuff,
Love the
too.
peripherals. Yep.
Now, Elo backs this up with minimum 3-year warranties and optional on-site exchange if service is needed. Check the link in the show notes to browse the options, specs, and buy now. The TEConnect Podcast is also brought to you by Zebra. Dean, it pays to partner with Zebra.
Ooh, does it now?
I don't know if I've seen a check from them recently.
No, you
What am I
haven't.
talking about? I've got a job here.
Yeah,
at
right.
BlueStar.
That's the
They're
check you need.
sponsoring this podcast that I get to do.
So Zebra does
every
pay.
week. So
There
yes,
you go.
it does pay to partner with Zebra, but it pays you, our VARs, to partner with Zebra as well. Join the Sell and Win Club incentive program to be recognized and rewarded for your individual sales performance. You'll accumulate points for eligible sales transactions, which you can redeem for exciting rewards from Zebra's extensive rewards catalog. All right, some of these rewards include merchandise, gift cards, experiences.
Nice.
I want to know more about experiences.
Right? Yeah.
What kind of experiences can I get? Educational resources and much more. So there are other great opportunities available to earn even more points in the Sell and Win Club, such as attending live training webinars, taking advantage of special promotions, participating in the Zebra Customer Reference Program, and more. Check out the link in the show notes to learn more about how to get started or reach out to your BlueStar Zebra BDM.